runs, Ewan West and Jamie Hindley there with their Mew decks. One bested by Luke Kirkham, as we do see him on screen with his incredible, he is a bit of a throwback. Both me and him started at the same time. I've known him for quite some time now. He's had some fantastic results and finishes across the years. And it's great to see him bring back that innovation once again. We highlight it so often, especially in a format where there's new cards and so many new decks in such a wide format.
Yeah, I went outside and saw Urvind out there and asked him about, what do you think of Luke's deck? And he was like, he always has weird decks. Whenever I play against him, he always flips over something funky. And here's Erin. You see the record there. It needs to be filled in. This event is going to be his chance to fill it in. Spoke to him in the interview. He started when he was very young, played through juniors and seniors. But this is his first year back in a long time, as he took a long extended break, and it's his first time in Masters, and what a way to do it on the big stage, coming here into that top 4, showing off why he's such a great player. And what a pick with Charizard EX into the weekend. It seemed like the smart choice.
It is a great choice. As Joe had mentioned on previous feature matches, it was one of those where, in a similar vein to Gardevoir EX, it was able to be a bit more robust against some of those counters. And such a big, bulky, powerful Pokemon as well. Like you've also mentioned, an opportunity to feature Erin once again. His third time on stream, and being able to now go 101, and he's in top 4. Remember, already secured $5,000 and plenty of championship points, but more to come.
We've seen so many players return to the game because they saw the reason to join back. But here we see the prizes being put out as we enter our semi-final. Anything crazy here? Nothing too much to worry about. Maybe the Luminion could come in as an important card at some moment, but we are about to get started into our semi-final. Luke versus Erin to make their spot in the final their own.
Palkia versus Charizard. Fire versus water. Let's see who's going to best which. As we do kick things off there. Are we seeing a Shivery Chill?
A Shivery Chill. Who would have thought it? We hadn't seen any Xianpao lists on the stream, but it was Luke's list here with the Palkia V-Star. Just the one Xianpao in there, allowing for the Shivery Chill.
Yeah, something we've experienced here in Gdańsk as well. It is cold here. Luke has been pouring water all over this whole tournament so far. Being able to grab 2 water energies out of the deck. Not, like you mentioned, not something we've seen already. It's been a fantastic archetype in the previous format, pre-Paradox Rift, but now just reduced to a support.
I mean, a lot of people will be thinking, Palkia V-Star, how could that possibly work in a format with so many Miraidon? But actually, for Luke, Miraidon's been the most common matchup for him.
Yes, it has. He's faced many a Miraidon. It might have been 7 now, if I'm not mistaken, across the 2 days. Does play something like the Xianpao, which gives you a non-lightning weak attacker, but hidden in that deck also is that Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX 1/1 line, which has really sort of punched his way through a lot of those yellow type Pokemon.
Exactly. When you can knock something out whilst also surviving the return attack, and you can get 2 knockouts with 1 Pokemon. Yes, it's worth 3 prizes, but it can really trade nicely into that Miraidon. But you can see here, setting up nice and wide, getting as many of those Palkia V-Stars ready. Early on, it's going to be tough for the Charizard EX to knock out something like a Palkia V-Star. So big, 280 hit points. We saw it in the last matchup. Tord, with the Palkia V-Star in play, was out of range of that Charizard right down to the very end.
Yeah, I really like this from Luke as well. Trying to utilize that Spiritomb, typically used in the matchup against the Mew. I'm sure it was a bit of an MVP in that top 8 he's had against Ewan West there. So we do see the attachment and then a pass. But that Spiritomb will be slowing Erin down because it will stop things like that Luminium V from being able to grab a supporter. Stopping that Pidgeot, if it does come down, from running away with Vanishing Wings. But it's on Erin now to try to utilize whatever cards he can get access to with this Arvin.
What's quite interesting here is, for Luke, he hasn't faced a Charizard EX throughout the tournament yet. So he's working out on the fly. And of course, everyone who's come up against Luke has been trying to work it out. So we are going to be witnessing both these players solving the problem. They've theorized it leading up to this, but they're both trying to solve that problem on the fly.
Yeah, that's exactly what Erin's had to do. He's already had the best, one of the world's best in the modern era, Tord Reclef. He's had the best Yuho Kalama in his final round to even make it into top 8. So he's really been well versed in trying to combat all of these sort of big, impressive very strong players throughout this tournament so far, and he's the one who has come on top and made it into top 4, as we do see the Forest Sealstone and the Battle VIP pass taken here.
I mean, this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see both players setting up well here in a semi-final. Nothing worse than a bad setup. At least now we get to see both players executing their game plan. Their primary strategy is going to be possible, and it's then which of them has the stronger game plan going into the match. Of course, Charizard doesn't mind going behind, as it has a lot of comeback potential towards the end of the game. But what's the Palkia V-Star really aiming to do in this matchup, do you think?
It's got so many different little cute techs to try and play around. Of course, it has the big bulky Pokemon itself, right? The Palkia V-Star we saw in the last match where Erin really wasn't able to take one-hit KOs with his Charizard EX, but he also plays cards like Canceling Cologne. You know, when you're a water type, playing water energies, you're able to accelerate water energy across the board. What comes down? Radiant Greninja, Moonlight Shuriken, being able to take 2 little KOs if possible. That's why Erin was actually eyeing up there the Manaphy.
Yeah, and you've really got to be concerned about that right now with the Pidgey and the Charmander on the bench. If no Manaphy is found here, then they will be easy targets for the Greninja. But with the Pidgeot V in hand and the Forest Sealstone, there's always going to be a contingency plan to get the Manaphy down, but that would force the Pidgeot V down as well. So
big, mysterious tail there from the 6 cards, grabbing out that Battle VIP pass.
What a card to find off of that Mew in the first turn.
It's what it's there for, right? It's what it's there for. There you go, eyeing up another Charmander, another attacking Pokemon alongside the supports that will help buff up some of those Charmander and Charizard EX attackers. Their Manaphy chosen to prevent any bench damage, bench damage to his Pokemon there as well. So strong turn here after that initial Arven.
Yeah, and I think both players setting up well here. The Mew features in both sides. You've got the Celebrations Mew as an option within the Palkia deck. Great way. There's a lot of good items.
Yes.
You've got the cross switches, which can be vital. I mean, even if you don't find an item that you particularly want, you just want to draw, you have the trekking shoes even, which you can collect and start to draw through your deck. And then with the combination with Irida, you can find those combination pieces that you need in the final moment. So both these decks are setting up and getting ready for the long haul. I really have no idea how it's going to go through the mid and late game. With both of them getting the early game sorted, what's next? Yeah,
I wonder if Erin knows much of what's in Luke's deck. Of course, neither of these players have faced one another throughout 15 rounds, and then the top 8 haven't faced each other as of yet. Like you mentioned, trying to figure out the best game plan here. It's going to be so vital to work out turns 3, turns 4, turns 5.
Hopefully you guys in chat are enjoying this, because nothing better than watching a new deck, an innovation, and seeing everyone solving it on the fly. There's been some rumbling around water decks. What's the options? Tord bringing the Palkia V-Star in was a great addition there. But that Star Portal from Palkia V-Star just opens up so much potential. It featured at one point in Xianpao, but it was sometimes too much of a risk, too much of a liability with that lightning weakness.
Yep.
And that was the main reason we haven't seen it in many other people's eyes, because of the risk of Miraidon. Whereas now, partnered with the right combination, it seems to be in a really good spot here.
Yeah, we do see more Shivery Chill there by the Xianpao, grabbing more energies, allowing Greninja to continue to conceal cards and just see more of the deck. Lots of options there available. It's that Irida in hand, double water energies. There's a few different ways that Luke could navigate this turn.
With the Earthen Vessel now, plus the Shivery Chill, you can get most of those water energy out of your deck early on, start to thin it down, and make every single draw that much more important.
Yeah, one combo piece potentially away from cancelling Cologne after a cross switcher onto that Manaphy, available from just taking out 2 Charmanders and reducing the threat on Erin's board to near enough 0. But Luke here eyeing up a non-Mew defense from Erin's side, trying to take a prize nice and early. Escape rope there.
I mean, the problem with getting too many prize cards early on, it just ramps up that Charizard EX damage.
Yeah, exactly that. As a Palkia believer yourself,
I am very much. I mean, yesterday I wore the Palkia V-Star, the Origin Form Palkia pin badge because I was a believer. Anyone who noticed that was the reason, I promise. It wasn't just because it went well with my suit.
Now they're doing you proud. And as we do see a Subspace Spell KO on the promoted Charmander there from the escape rope. Not wanting to give up the Manaphy, nor wanting to give up the Pidgey. It's a top deck there. Is that another Charmander?
Seems to be.
What else is available in Erin's hand? Feels like every time we've seen Erin so far, his draw hasn't been the most impressive. Can utilize that Pidgeot V there with the Forest Sealstone to get things going. But remember,
liability though.
Yeah, unable to run away with that Vanishing Wings.
Yeah, Spiritomb, fettered in misfortune. Smart of Luke to put it down here. You know, this is a card specifically for something like Mew, but it does have that versatility against decks that rely on Luminion, and in this case, the Pidgeot. It can also be quite good into Snorlax Stall, because you can stop the Rotom V from quick charging.
Yeah, exactly that. There's a lot of outs. Luke's deck here built to beat a lot of the field. Of course, cannot compete with absolutely everything, but seemingly doing super well. Remember, he's only lost once across 16 rounds.
You say that. I asked him, I was like, what's your bad matchup? And he went, I don't think there is one.
Yeah, well.
But he was watching Tord earlier and he went, I really hope I don't have to face Tord because that looks like a bad matchup. So the only deck in the room which he felt like he couldn't beat was the one which he wasn't aware of before the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's another deck with just so many different cute texts and answers, right? We do see the Mysterious Tail grab of the Battle VIP Pass. Did have the option of the Escape Rope, but for the moment, opts not to take it, as maybe wanting to use the Battle VIP Pass, yes, as Ultra Ball fodder.
Yeah, typically if you see a Battle VIP Pass taken later on, there is an Ultra Ball in hand ready to go.
Ultra Ball, Lost Vacuum, one of these. Many pieces.
Was there, I guess if there wasn't a rare candy in hand, can be attained by the Forest Sealstone, but there we go. That's probably going to be what we see here. So a Charizard has been developed, and the question is, how much else can we see Erin set up his board to deal with this early pressure from Luke Kirkham at this stage? You know, Palkia V-Star in the active spot will just keep swinging, and everything else on the bench will be able to develop throughout those turns.
Goes for the Pidgeot V EX first. Now able to chain the combo to pull up that Charizard EX as well. Can grab any card with that quick search. We saw how vital it was already in the top 8 and the other matchups where we've seen Charizard EX. Likely the rare candy here already has a Charizard EX in hand that you've highlighted. There's the second rare candy. Which Charmander will he evolve up?
It has to be the one in the middle, because the other one has been benched this turn, I believe. So,
yes, that's correct.
Just make sure that happens correctly there.
Double check there, of course. Doesn't make too much of an impact, but is important to make sure we keep the game state as clean as possible. But makes the decision a little bit easier, just to double check, as we will see a proper Infernal Rain come down as well with free energy attachments.
But I mean, at this stage, you've got Pidgeot EX and Charizard EX developed. That's a pretty good position to be in, as you have, you know, the full strength of that 330 hit point Pokemon. That can do a lot of damage, but it's not able to knock out anything that's worth 2 prizes on Luke's side at this stage. So we'll just start to accumulate damage, and there'll be a lot of 2-hit knockouts back and forth. And then the question is going to be, can Erin develop the next one in time and the one after that?
Or can Luke find a way around the Charizard if necessary and just kind of limit what Erin has available to him? I believe I saw the Canceling Clone now in Luke's hand as well, alongside one part Cross Switcher. Double Cross Switcher. There's a Canceling Cologne. Is there enough energy available with a retreat into Star Portal?
I mean, this could be absolutely huge here. You know, if we see the Cross Switcher Canceling Cologne combo here can take out the other Charmander whilst also leaving a Greninja in the active. We did see a lot of water getting discarded early on.
With the concealed cards, yeah.
So we'll see if there was enough discarded And whether that is the combo play here, there's one, there's two, there's only two in the discard here.
Could retreat, though, to get more into the discard. Might not be the most efficient use of those energies.
We'll just be top decking at that point, right? And he started his Ultra Ball, so he has to get rid of the Mew EX. He's getting rid of the Cancelling Cologne.
Yeah, opts to go down a different route here. Remember, doesn't have access to the Lumineon, if I'm not mistaken, because it was prized. Targeting potentially another Palkia V-Star.
I guess just accepting that that one prize taken early on can be dealt with later on to balance it out. But then if you leave that Charmander in play, it's not a huge amount Erin needs to do now that the Pidgeot EX is activated to set up the next one. And that's where you start to worry. If you have to go through two Charizard EX here, it could really change up the matchup.
Yeah, just at least considering maybe taking that down. Remember, Luke has to take 4 prizes before the Charizard EX is actually just able, just from the ramp of the damage, return a KO or one-hit KO.
Oh, can take out the Pidgeot V here.
So yeah, it's still here in this same scenario. Can go down to 3 prizes. A Charizard EX is unable to take a knockout on a fresh Palkia V-Star. I mean, because it's 270 without any other extra damage modifications.
I mean, the key there, the cross switches almost had to be played just to be able to thin down the hand for the restart from the Mew EX.
Here's a Melanie as well. It's drawn into that, draw an additional 3 cards at the same time. Water Energy, able to attach from hand.
And continue drawing with the Greninja if needed.
No, it seems like Luke is content with what he's been able to draw. Let's find Melanie and Water and a hand attachment there to get the fresh Palkia V-Star.
Didn't even need to use Star Portal.
Also, he has that Chen Power as well. Another massive attacker. There's so many little options available here. It's just whether he can get there.
I mean, the Shen Power's huge, because if next turn the Charizard EX isn't able to take a knockout on the benched Palkia V-Star, that will leave 4 Water Energy in play, and there is 1 in the discard. So if you put that Shen Power into the active, you then start to get water out of your deck, conceal cards them away, and then you're quickly accumulating into that Shen Power one-hit knockout.
Yeah, so many options here. You know, Luke's in a commanding position, taking 3 prizes already. Erin, quick searching right now. Just slowly maybe evolving up that Charmander. Eyeing up it looks like a Charmeleon. But what's the game plan here for Erin? He's 3 prizes down. It could be a massive knockout if Erin could grab maybe a damage modifier that he plays. I can't quite tell right now. Just double checking what's available. Defiance Band.
So Defiance Band on that Charizard would be able to knock out a Palkia V-Star here.
There it is. Currently just been targeted there by Erin. That fresh Palkia staring down the face of a burning darkness available here from this Charizard EX.
Just prepping for next turn as well. I'm going to get that Super Rod. So at this stage, we are seeing the effect of both these decks have options, and that's why they've done so well in this tournament. Charizard EX, a fantastic call into this tournament. You know, very good into the most popular decks we've seen here. And this is exactly why. As the game goes on, it really starts to favor Charizard EX, one of the strongest end games of any deck right now in the format. And it's these kinds of cards, the comeback mechanic cards, Counter Catcher, Defiance Band, this is when they get activated.
And this is it. We are approaching that full end game here. Remember, this is the Masters top 4 between Luke Kirkham and Erin Kingma. Palkia versus Charizard. Water versus fire.
With a bit of dark.
With a bit of dark.
What a way this is going out here. I mean, both decks have a free retreat pivot as well. You know, that Mew EX and the Pidgeot EX, you know, they're so well built around all of these different options. And it's at this stage that Palkia V-Star, the healthy one that Luke Kirkham put into the active, hoping to be able to survive a hit here. But with Defiance Band and the 270 damage that we'll expect to see out the Charizard EX, it will be a knockout. 2 prizes going to Erin.
Big knockout.
How will Luke respond?
Still has access to Star Portal, right? 3 energies now back into the discard.
Needs to get 6 energy in play to knock out that Charizard EX, and then you've got to wonder after that, what's the plan? Because that's all your energy gone.
That's a lot of energy gone.
Okay, so Trekking Shoes just helping get through that deck. Switch out's not too vital right here as there's one in hand.
Goes into the battle VIP.
Easy decision for the Ultra Ball.
Easy fodder. Double battle VIP passes there, no longer useful.
I mean, that Luminion would be lovely right now that's in the prize cards.
Does have to start weaving in those Melanies. It is a Melanie heavy deck. Remember, being able to bring back those energies from the discards, draw free, and just continue executing your game plan.
Okay, so we're going to get that Suicune. You know, the least commonly seen of the legendary beasts in recent times, but historically one of the most successful of the trio.
It's definitely had its moment.
For anyone who doesn't know what Suicune does, very similar to Raikou and Entei, which you might be familiar with. It's just slightly different numbers. So the HP, slightly higher than Raikou at 210, slightly lower than Entei. Retreat cost 2. Other than that, pretty much does the same thing. Blizzard Rondo. Water colorless 20 plus 20 for each bench Pokemon, and that amazing fleet-footed included on there. So
see the retreat into the Chien-Pao, the Shivery Chill now being utilized here by Luke Kirkham. That incredible power and ability now. 2 waters in hand. As we mentioned, 5 in the discard, no, 3 in the discard.
It should be 4 now because of the knockout on the Pal. No, it might be 3. 3 or 4.
Plenty.
Enough.
Trekking Shoes. Palkia there. Discard. Greninja. 4 now, I think, in the discard.
Really wants to find that Melanie to try and get as much water in play as possible. Doesn't find it. Just the Irida there. That's why we're talking about that Luminion. Really helps bring more water into play. Could have even potentially used the Aqua Return of the Luminion to try and put up a 1-prizer. But as we saw, that Quick Search plus Boss combination in Charizard EX is so powerful in the endgame.
Irida being used. Opportunity to grab any water Pokemon and any item card from the deck. Remember, we've already said how powerful those item cards are in Luke's deck. I mean, cross switches we've seen utilized in so many different decks previously. Looks like he's finally grabbed an Ice Rider. Is it an Ice Rider? Looks like an Ice Rider.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be using it here.
No, but we talk about it so often. It feels like it's nice to finally get a chance to see it in some way, shape, or form.
I really wonder what the game plan is here. Since that Defiance Band knockout, just being in range on the Palkia V-Star, it's really thrown off Luke here. His game plan has very much been dig to try and find the dream option, but there we see the Star Portal.
Yeah, massive ability. Being able to attach up to 3 water energy cards from your discard pile to your water Pokemon in play in any way you like.
And 1 from hand, that puts it up to the 6 energy needed to knock out the Charizard. And we'll be getting that Defiance Band off just to try and thin the Ice Rider Calyrex out of the deck.
Massive attack.
All those energy there to take out the Charizard EX. It will be a knockout here. Luke down to 1 remaining, but what can he do next turn? Does Erin have a response? 4 prizes needed for Erin, but this is where Charizard EX thrives.
Hellblade going all the way through that big, massive, dark type Charizard EX. Can Erin find a way to come back from this scenario? With an Ultra Ball and a Charizard EX, we'll have a retaliation attack on Luke's side of the board, but I must imagine there will be some form of disruption coming down as well.
I mean, it has to disrupt at this point. You know, the biggest weakness of this Palkia V-Star deck from looking at it seems to be endgame Roxanne or endgame Iono. If you've not got energy on board, it's a scary place to be. And after using that Chien-Pao, there's no more water in play. The Star Portal is gone. And so it is going to be relying on stuff like that Mew EX for the restart, maybe even the Suicune fleet-footed to try and find their way out of this final moment. But is there enough fire energy in deck for this Charizard EX?
Has one in hand. There's one. That's all he really needs, in all honesty, right now. Just double checking the resources there. There's another one.
It was 3 in think. I think he put them back in earlier with the Super Rod.
Plenty of resources available to him. Just double checking one more time. Getting the attachments on the pivot options there. If anything gets trapped, they're likely to get knocked out anyway. There's the Iono being moved.
That's
from the quick search. That is the one.
My goodness, what an end game we're having here in our first game of the semi-final. It's going to be an Iono and pray. Hope that it disrupts enough here, and Luke will be going down to 1 card to try and respond next turn.
No, Luke set up his board perfectly as well to try and deal with it. Has that fail-safe of restart from that Mew VEX. Currently seeing an escape rope from that one-off card. Does need to find a Melanie to chain an attack with that escape rope as well.
I mean, at this point, you know, there's a few draw options, but needs to find a way to get the Manaphy or the Mew into play. And we saw the Luminion stayed in the prize card. So to find that boss's orders, it won't be possible through Luminion. Has a few options here, but Erin doing everything he can to try and win this. A final knockout with a Charizard EX. That Charizard is not going to be going down.
Is that Melanie?
I believe that is a Melanie.
That is a massive top deck here. That gives Luke a great attacker. Does need to find a way to gust one of those single prizes, because I don't know if he's able to stretch for that Pidgeot EX.
Not at all. So we'll need to try and dig for the cross switches here.
It's a cross switcher play. Melanie attach the water energy from the discard pile.
I guess you escape rope here and start with the restart. This is a tough end game.
Go into Suicune so that you can fleet-footed as well, see more cards, wait for your opponent to decide.
It's a forced decision here, really, for Erin.
So there's escape rope. Yep, there you go. There's the Pidgeot EX coming to the active spot. Suicune in the active. Restart for 2 cards. Irida. Double Irida. Not what we're after right now. Melanie. What's the target here for Luke? Suicune.
Just going to be drawing cards at this point.
Oh, there's boss in hand. There's a... he
can't use it now, though.
He's just 1 card off. Well, 2 in theory. This trekking shoes.
Needs to try and find the cross switches here.
Earthen Vessel will get him that energy.
You just see the power of the water engine, how quickly you can dig through your deck. You see the 2 cross switches in there. Might have to be literally concealed cards for the 2 cross switches.
Yep, it has to be the biggest concealed cards of the tournament for Luke here to take him potentially that 1 step closer to the finals of Gdańsk Regionals. Here we go.
Fleet-footed and concealed cards to try and get the 2 cross switches in the deck. Is it possible? That's not it. And that's not it there.
That's not it. So yes, it looks like a concession there from Luke, not hitting 1. But what an incredible display by Erin there, being able to combine the Iono with the big, bulky Charizard EX once again. And it is Fire Dark, which takes game 1 of this top 4.
What a game. That went right down to the wire. It feels like Charizard EX always has a way in those final moments with the disruption of Iono, with the comeback potential, with the Defiance Band, the counter catches. And if you've got a quick search Pidgeot EX in play, you can find any of those pieces in those final moments, so it's in your control right down to the very end.
Yes, so vital to have that capability to just select any card you want from your deck, right? If I need a boss, I'll just go get it. If I need a Charizard, I'll get it. Rare candy? Sure, why not? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But Luke's pushed himself into a really good position. I mean, we saw a few of the ways Luke could take big knockouts, right? He just needed that one little last step. He didn't.
I wonder if that Pidgeot V knockout, in hindsight, You know, maybe he's going to think in the next one, I need to adapt to not get down to that 3 prize cards remaining. Now he knows the Defiance Band is there and that his Palkia V-Stars are in range at that point. Maybe he needs to think about reeling it back in and just trying to get down to prizes in a slower fashion. But of course, early tempo is so key to potentially winning.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not as if Erin's going to be sat there doing nothing whilst Luke takes slower knockouts. Erin's going to be forcing a lot of pressure himself, even just dealing 180 and 180 and 180 back to back will just kind of make Luke think, well, I need to deal with this now and as soon as possible. But you know, both players have to compose themselves here.
You got to say fair play to Erin. The way he played that out was brilliant. Just everything he was doing was the right decision at the right time. Played it cleanly, and you know, chained that Pidgeot EX into play to try and set him up. Once he got that Charizard EX down, forced the big knockout with the Shen Pao. And so all of those kind of steps that are being taken by the Charizard EX, done brilliantly. Obviously very comfortable with the list, been playing it all weekend. Yeah. But maybe just solving against Palkia V-Star, and this is something we see a lot. When you play against a deck you've not played before, you're more susceptible to mistakes because you don't know what you're playing against. You haven't got experience in the matchup, but Erin navigating that perfectly.
Yeah, unbelievably well. He's played different matchups every time we featured him on stream so far already. A mirror match that lost Paradox Box, and now up against this Palkia. We're going to keep saying Palkia Ice Rider, despite not seeing Ice Rider yet. But as we do see both players, oh, that's a big prizing there on a Manaphy side. But let's see if Luke even goes down that route this time. The Ice Rider Calyrex there prize, nothing else too crazy. So we do see both players having set up now. Looks like Luke will be setting up and going first. Game 2 of our Masters top 4 at Gdańsk Regionals. Erin is 1-0 up.
Just looking at this straight away, looks to be a similar start for Luke. But of course, as you mentioned, that Manaphy in the prize cards was the main thing slowing down Luke from completely disrupting Erin's board. Now, it's a whole different game, and this is why that Manaphy is so important right now. Most decks playing it to avoid that early Greninja pressure, and what better way to do that than with a Palkia deck going first, knowing that in their next turn, their first attacking turn, they can use that Greninja.
What's great for Luke is once Erin starts to set up his board, he'll start to figure out, well, if there's a Nest Ball and Battle VIP pass being played, no Manaphy coming down, hang on a moment. My Greninja's in the active spot if I don't need to necessarily move it out too quickly. And it can start swinging away with that fantastic attack, Moonlight Shuriken, and maybe just start running away with game 2.
This is the question with Star Portal. At what point during the game do you use it? And that's one of the flexible ideas with this deck, is you can have early pressure where you bring a load of water in for a Greninja or to set up any of your attackers, but you can also hold it till the end game. And on this occasion, it could be a second turn Star Portal that could be so key to that early pressure. But of course, water does have to be discarded. Can we see a stable board state for Erin here? He does have a VIP pass in there. Does have an
Arven as well. It has multiple things going for him.
Very nice.
Great starting hand for Erin.
Dreamy.
Dreamy.
Except for the Manaphy.
Yeah, well, he hasn't figured it out yet. He's just about to figure that out now.
Watch that facial expression as he finds no Manaphy.
Yep, not ideal. Staring down at the face of a Radiant Greninja.
I mean, it stands out in that deck list. Everything looking so red in there, and then suddenly the flash of blue of Manaphy.
Yep, double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking. I don't have it. No Hisuian Heavy Ball to grab it out of the prizes either. Has to keep the poker face on, of course. Just be like, I want to set up my boards. That's why I didn't get Manaphy. And see if Luke can maybe, again, go down the route of using Star Portal, maybe for that latter turn to think of a big knockout once again.
There we go. Just the Pidgey coming down, and you know, if another Charmander comes down, it does force a decision out of Luke. And I think what we're going to have to see from Erin here is even more of those evolving basics coming down. Yeah. Just to try and protect themselves from a potential Moonlight Shuriken that completely disrupts the board.
There it is. We do see the third Charmander come down as well. Remember, still has access to Arven, can still continue going through the deck to build out that board state. Decisions to be made.
There it is. There's the Arven. Such a great partner to Charizard EX. you know, having an item and a tool available. We saw how important the tool cards are with the Forest Seal Stone, as well as that Defiance Band in the vital moment. A great combining card. There's the VIP pass. That's the easy decision. The other card.
Forest Seal Stone. This time Luke had Spiritomb in hand, but decided to not to bench it.
Well, this time he has a Luminion that he might want to put down. Of course, last game, the Fleet-Footed wasn't available in that Suicune.
Ah, yes.
Because of the Sableye.
Impacts both boards.
The Spiritomb, yeah. I'm sure you guys in chat caught that one.
Doesn't matter. Wasn't too relevant in the end anyway, fortunately.
Maybe this time he's thinking, I want my Fleet-Footed.
I want my one-card top deck.
I want my
extra
Luminion.
Draw. But there it is. That Pidgeot V, a wonderful card and wonderful inclusion to utilize alongside that Forest Seal Stone. Now able to use Vanishing Wings to hide away if and when it needs to do so. Another way of also reducing damage output from that Palkia.
So just looking at this board state here, if you were Luke thinking about your Moonlight Shuriken targets next time, you've got 3 Charmanders and a Pidgey. Is that Pidgey one of your targets, or do you focus on the Charmanders?
My question has been answered for me by Erin there, as he benches a second Pidgey.
So would you take 2 Pidgey, a Pidgey and a Charmander, or 2 Charmanders?
It is actually quite telling that there's 2 Pidgey down. We know Erin has Forest Seal Stone in hand as well, so Pidgeot V is just there, waiting to utilize it.
Sponge some damage.
Sponge some damage, but just knowing that, you know, regardless if these Pidgeys go, he has access to any card from Star Alchemy regardless. So it's just kind of forcing Luke into an awkward scenario and saying, well, which are you going to target?
Well, for anyone at home who's thinking, what do you do if you prize Manaphy? Well, this is a great example of it from Erin. You just go as wide as possible, knowing that they might get those 2 prizes, but as we saw in the last game, going behind is not a problem for this deck.
As you said, the strongest type or archetype deck Pokemon in terms of ramping up towards the end game or end stages of a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, if you can get set up as Charizard EX early on and have a stable beginning, you're set for the rest of it. Charizard EX so large, 330 hit points, as well as having, you know, no real scary weakness. So we'll see what happens right here.
Okay, it's just double checking the counts as we go.
What was discarded there? I think it was just the question off of the Earthen Vessel.
But yeah, grabbing 2 energies from the deck with the discard as well, functionality. Such a powerful card from the new set. Concealed cards being used here. Drawing an additional 2 cards for Luke as he needs to set up his own board state himself. Escape rope available.
I mean, what a semi-final we've got here in Gdansk. We had a great quarter-final earlier. Anyone who was watching that, you thoroughly enjoyed watching Erin navigate around.
Star Portal, sorry. But he's also decided to bench the Spiritomb. He's keeping that Pidgeot V around.
Lock it in.
You aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, we saw, as I was about to say, Erin knows, of course. Erin navigated towards unusual lost box list beautifully in the quarterfinal. Is now having to work out this Palkia V-Star list in the next game. So really being tested at their adaptability on the fly. And they will be taking out both Pidgeys.
Double Pidgey. I guess with the crux of the deck, I mean, the thing that makes it work so well, right, is having those quick search abilities to kind of combo out certain cards. Erin does already have Rare Candy Charizard EX in hand, so can start swinging back in Luke's direction. But there's no combo or wombo combo with the Pidgeot EX this time.
Yeah, we mentioned about the endgame being so powerful. One of the big factors in that is the quick search. If you take away the quick search, it kind of weakens that endgame. They might not be able to find the boss or the Ionu that they need in those final moments, as Charizard tends to keep quite a thick deck. Doesn't really dig all the way down to the bottom, unlike some others. And so it can be hard to find the exact card you need in the final moments, but that Pidgeot V on the bench will be stuck. Vanishing Wings, unable to be used as an ability, thanks to the Spiritomb's fettered in misfortune. And so at this stage, Erin just wants to evolve as many of those Charizards as possible, and might be able to get another one there with the Forest Seal Stone if they fancy it.
Yeah. Infernal Rain, free fire energies just coming out of the deck, attaching to your Pokemon in any way you like. Burning Darkness now dealing 240 damage on this poor Radiant Greninja if Erin chooses to do so.
It's an interesting debate there. Do you go for the Radiant Greninja, taking away one of the main draw engines of the Palkia V-Star deck, or do you leave it knowing that you need to get 2 prizes to have the most efficient route to victory?
There is an easy target on that bench with that Orange Inform Palkia V. So there's options, there's routes to take here. Forest Sealstone utilized, Star Alchemy activated. Any card from the deck. Looks like he stopped at the boss.
It does indeed. But that hand doesn't have much else going for it. So if you go for the boss here, you're going to be stuck with quite a limited hand.
It's a bit more of a greedy play, I guess, is how a lot of players have coined it before.
I mean, if you're in your second game, having won the first one, you can sort of take those risks sometimes and play a bit greedier, knowing that if you don't, then you won't ever be able to win it.
It's very true, Mike, very true. Opts for the safer play right now with the Iono being grabbed from Star Alchemy. Remember, no access to Pidgeot EXs unless it's able to find the Super Rod to bring those Pidgeys back.
I mean, if you think about the Greninja being knocked out here, a hand of 4, no real draw in play, that could really throw off Luke's game plan.
I mean, you're completely right. That hand does not look pretty at all right now. Just a Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, Battle VIP Pass.
And a Shen Pao.
And a Shen Pao.
I mean, you guys in chat must be loving this, seeing a new deck doing well at the top.
Hold on 1 second, unable to because of that Spiritomb.
Spiritomb has been an MVP this weekend for a lot of people.
Putting in a lot of work here. Right, so 1 prize taken there by Erin on that knockout on the Radiant Greninja. Top deck mode here for Luke. That's a switch.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. Can't use Luminion because of that Spiritomb either.
What can you get on the bench here off that Nest Ball?
Mew, an opportunity to restart.
It's true. Start drawing if you can. I mean, when you look at the way his hands have gone, I think that restart has been vital. In so many moments, you do get down to a low hand size, especially if that's your main loss condition, is people disrupting you. It does make a lot of sense to have the Mew EX in there.
Yeah, it's such a powerful and great card. Free retreat, a really cool attack in that genome hacking, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't know if it would ever get used much in this deck.
You never know. You never know. But yes, yeah, it's very unlikely. But
tricky one.
Alongside that as well, it has that fail-safe restart ability. We've seen it on Pokemon before and how great they can be to draw back up to 3.
Boss's orders.
Boss's orders. Could take 1. I mean, it could take a single prize knockout here. The Defiance Band is attached, so it means that active Charizard EX won't be able to utilize something like that to respond. Just announces Subspace Swell, 60 plus, 120 damage from the bench, so 180, you are correct.
Little top tip, as a player who's recently played Palkia V-Star, 7 bench Pokemon's 200, and from there, do the maths.
It's one way of doing it, one easy way of doing it. Or into a rare Candy Charizard with the Defiance Band on the bench as well.
My goodness, this is really ramping up for Erin. No Pidgeot needed.
Luke only plays 1 boss, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Which is in hand.
Which is in hand, so that's probably why he didn't want to not waste it, but not get as much value out of it by taking a 1 prize knockout.
Outside of the boss, has to get the combo of the cross switches, and with such a low hand size right now and no real draw in play, it'll be quite a big ask to try and get those.
Yeah, but does mean now he's staring down the face of 2 Terra Charizard EXs.
I mean, this Palkia V-Star should be able to sustain a hit here. And if that's the case, being able to knock out the opponent's Charizard EX would put them down to 2 prize remaining, and that Vanishing Wings Pidgeot V is not going anywhere at this stage. So that would be a finishing scenario.
Ooh, counter catcher onto the Mew EX.
Very good.
Very strong play here from Erin. Of course, still one prize behind on the prize count. That one-off catcher, gusting it up. Easy KO.
I mean, that's brilliant. That water energy is also brilliant for Luke, but now no draw in play. That Mew EX was going to be the sole way of getting out of this situation, and so is going to be fully reliant here on prize cards and top decks. So
Luke will be taking the knockout on this Charizard EX and then holding that boss to find a way to take the knockout on this Pidgeot V. That's the direction we're going in here. That's what Luke has to go down. He's just playing the cards in his hand.
Only one retreat cost on that Pidgeot V as well, so can't be trapped in the active or anything like that.
300 damage, Burning Darkness staring in the face of this Origin form Palkia V-Star now. Iono in hand as well from Erin. Big cards. Massive in the turn of events of this matchup here.
My goodness. What was off those prizes as well? No, Luke is really back against the wall here. A cross switcher. So potential off the top deck, maybe an Irida. And then you can go start with that Shenpao. If you find an Irida or a cross switcher here, that Shenpao into the active, you know, it's really grasping at those final moments, but it would be possible.
This might be the biggest turn of Luke's regionals run so far. Massive KO there by Burning Darkness of that Charizard EX on that Palkia V-Star. What does Luke promote? It's a shivery chill Shenpao in the active spot. Top deck.
Oh, that's a Melanie.
Melanie offers opportunity here.
Then that deck with some water energy out, and then a Melanie to try and find a cross switcher here.
This is absolutely massive. Is there a way? Is there a... Where there's a will, there's a way, it seems right now. Luke, your final opportunity to take down and bring this match and series level.
If not, we see Erin making his way to the final with pure disruption from Charizard EX, making it as hard as possible for Luke. But will Luke be able to do it here? A Melanie for 3 to find that cross switcher.
Is that even enough? There's the attachment from the Melanie.
Oh, he needs more
There's
than
a
that.
cross switcher.
Cross switcher has a basic Pokemon, but that's not enough damage.
It's just not enough damage right now. What can Luke do with this hand? There's a cross switcher that he wanted, but he needed to hit 2 more Pokemon at least, maybe more.
I mean, it's 210 on the Pidgeot. There's a lot to ask. Yeah, that's 8 bench Pokemon, and there's only 2.
It's not even possible from his own
Erin's
side. Yeah.
Oh, there's so much to ask of him here.
Maybe had to be proactive with that last boss, but Luke just running through his mind what all the options are from within this creative deck, this throwback to Origin form Palkia V-Star.
I don't think he can do anything here. I think he's out of options. Nothing on the bench can be targeted. Found the cross switches, just needed more basic Pokemon.
Yeah, there's the fist bump.
Luke unable to make it happen, and that means Erin will be going through to our final, piloting the Charizard EX deck, and has earned it valiantly here, solving the mystery of the Palkia V-Star. Disruption was the key.
Massive, massive plaudits towards Erin there. Incredible display of such a fantastic archetype. Commiserations to Luke Kirkham. Fantastic deck building, fantastic deck, a throwback, like I said, to a archetype which has dominated formats before, and a deck that you have backed in your heart there, Mike.
I have a wonderful deck. Unfortunately, just missing out on that final knockout, and that's the challenge you've got with Palkia V-Star as your primary attacker. Relies so much on things being overbenched, which is why it can work very well. If any of you at home are thinking, oh, I'll try Palkia V-Star out, it works very well against